pattern themselves after their behavior of the Canaanite. He did not want them to do that. He wanted them to be an example as well as today. So, if we are going to represent God, if we want to see, we definitely want to see the power of God and the illustration of God ourselves, and our hearts and our minds and our spirits are bleeding to see the miraculous power of God. And it's not that it can't happen or won't happen, but we got to position ourselves in order to see it happen, because most of the time, from the head to the tail, we get beside ourselves when God does use or work through us, and we need to just step back and say, to God be the glory, because it ain't nothing about us. It's really about God. It's really about Him. So we need to take note of the fact that they heard that God had brought them across the Red Sea. They heard that He had opened up the Red Sea. Now, if the folks today, even folks in church today ain't scared of God. And some of this generation said, I hope they ain't scared of God no more. They have no respect for God anymore, man, and I don't expect any more for the world. I don't. They are who they are, what they are, and what you see is what you get. And if you accept that way, then you got to reject God's way. So the thing about it is that they are who they are. Now, I know the scripture defines Rahab as a woman or ill fame or harlot, but could I say Rahab was a businesswoman? She was a businesswoman. She was in the game. She owned the part of that that they was coming into. And that's another important thing that we got to keep in mind here too. She was not married, I don't think. No. I'm giving you a little bits and pieces here for you to pick out, so that you can go back and make some observation here. But she wasn't married. This was in the early 1400s BC, and then you got to travel through time to look at ages and time and the transpiring of things during that time between the time that. When did she get married? When was she? Because see, if she was young, like we consider sometimes folks in teenagers in the Bible, like we usually look at when they say lad or something like that, we think it's just speaking of some child. But actually, a person can be 20, 21, or whatever when they say lad. That the word lad does not mean in that way what it means in ours. When we say lad, we talk about, boy, you ain't nothing but a boy. That's all we say. But see, it means more to them than it does to us. And so therefore, we got to consider, was she a 12 or 14 or 15-year-old girl born in a rubber at that time and running in and out of her business and owning ill-famed slaves along with somebody said a restaurant. See, all of these things, they're just like people can come in and out. It's sort of like a hotel, you can do a whole lot of things in a hotel and folks don't know what's going on in your room. And if all of those things are taking place, then that's why the terrorists sometimes set off bombs, because they're in there doing things that nobody knows about. And they say, well, the musketeers on that hotel, well, only the musketeers owned the hotel, but the musketeers did not know what was going on in there all the time. But she was a harlot. That doesn't necessarily mean now that she was actually practicing the sin either. But if whatever your game is, if I am what they call a man that owns prostitutes, what? They either, in our time they call them pimp, but in Bible time they call them whore.